This segment of the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast is supported in part by Douglas Outdoors, serious rods for serious anglers. Go to douglasoutdoors.com and check out their new lineup of Era rods that retail under $100. Norsk Lithium, the lithium battery that you need is just a click away. Go to norsklithium.com and check out some of the lightest lithium batteries in the market with the best warranty in the business. Mariner Sales, located in the heart of the DFW Metroplex, Mariner Sales has the largest inventory of kayak and kayak accessories in North Texas. You can also shop online at marinersales.com. What's up, everyone? I hope you are having a great Thursday evening. Welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. You know, last year at ICAST, Yak Attack, they gave me this. This is to tighten the knobs, but I'm going to try to use it for something better. If I can. Can I? Twist up. I don't know why I need that for. That was stupid. That was a fail. But anyways, thank you, Yak Attack. What is going on, everyone? Like I said, welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. It's your boy Armando, and today we're going to have another great episode. Last week, we had Chris Castro from Next Level Fishing TV, and we did an episode dedicated to saltwater fishing, but like big water, like oil rig fishing, open water fishing for cobias, sailfish, big game fishing. It was a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, you can always check out on social media on Bass Kayak and Beers in Facebook page or YouTube. Should be there. And also, if not, you can listen to our podcast. It's on streaming on every podcast streaming platform on the Bass Kayak and Beers. It was a great episode. But this week, we're going to continue with the saltwater theme. This week, we're going to have Dustin Nichols, one of the OGs when it comes to inshore saltwater fishing. So this episode is going to be dedicated to more like inshore saltwater fishing, like the lagoons where you target redfish, flounder, trout. And Dustin's going to share his experience. He's not just a great content creator; he's also a decorated angler. He's actually in the running for AOY. Hope I don't jinx it. It's not Hobie BOS; it's a Hobie Saltwater series. So Hobie still does have a kayak series. It's just in saltwater. So I'm excited to have Dustin join the podcast and talk about that. We'll talk about, if you've never done it, what you should take, why you should do it. Tips on how to catch flounder, redfish, trout, which are the biggest three that people target in that style of fishing. What baits to use. Those usually are going to be hypersaline lagoons. So what equipment do you use? And how do you maintain your equipment to avoid it from getting corroded and shortening its lifespan? And also we'll talk about some of the best kayaks and some of the worst kayaks for that type of application. So if you're all into that or you want to know more about saltwater inshore fishing, stick around. It's going to be a great episode. Before we continue, quick announcement. Duke Tran, amazing human being, as you know, from Mariner Sales, he is actually just put up a nationwide charity event to benefit the people from Kerr County that have been affected or devastated by the floods that we had over July 4th. If you're not familiar with it, like at 4 a.m., wee hours in the morning, the water rose from like 2 feet to 28 feet in just a matter of hours, if not less. And unfortunately, at the moment, I think the death count is somewhere of about 110 people within those. I think something almost 40 children, a lot of them from the Mystic Girls Camp that they have there in summer. Still another 160 are missing. So unfortunately, that death count is going to climb. We wish it wouldn't, but we hope it doesn't climb too much, but we know that it's a tough situation for the people that have been affected. So if you can sign up. It's only $40. I just actually signed up before we went live. It's nationwide, so anybody can sign up. There are an immense amount of prizes given out. All proceeds go to the charity, including Dwayne Wally's, who is the president owner of Attorney X. He's waiving the fees, so all 100% of the proceeds are going to the people that are affected. Not even Dwayne Wally from Attorney X. Attorney X not keeping any of the money. They're not even charging the fees, which is amazing. And big thank you, Dwayne Wally, to Duke Trend. Bass Masters is giving away 2 lifetime memberships. I know my sponsor, Douglas Rods, is. I just finished talking to Christian Colabelli from Douglas Rod. He's going to be giving out some of the LRS rods. Which ones they are, I don't know yet. As soon as I have more details, I'll let you know. Usually at this time of the year, beginning of July, I would have a giveaway on the podcast. But instead of having those rods for the giveaway, we're going to use those rods and use it for the charity event. And again, that's thank you to the good people at Douglas. A whole lot of other companies are involved in this. And it's, of course, this is the money is to help out. It's not who wins and all that. But if you do get involved, I'm sure a lot of it's going to go through raffles and not just the standings. Because right now there's 206 people. But there's going to be great prizes too. So you get a chance to win some pretty awesome prizes. So please consider, if you can afford, just signing up for that tournament. I think it starts July. Cutoff is July 12th. I think it's July 13th to the 20th. So it's 1 week. And I'm sure you can fish out of any vessel. It doesn't matter. It's again, it's not for who wins. And I'm sure the price is going to be just raffled off. It's just about, getting on the water and doing something that's bigger than ourselves. So please consider joining that. So let's get in Dustin Nichols here on the podcast. Dustin, how are you doing today?
What's going on, man? I was catching up on some emails while I was sitting there with your intro. Yeah,
I know,
chilling.
I usually keep it short, but
dude, we got something
for that charity event.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. Duke's doing a good thing with that. It's tragedy what happened up there, man. It's just that it's one of the most dangerous river valleys with the elevation and the ravines and canyons that all flow down. Normally the pool of that river is, it's only 2 foot deep with some deeper pools here and there, and there's some little dams every now and then, but just the way the topography is of that area is very prone to the flash flooding like that. And when you get a once in a however 100 or 500 year rainfall event like that with, I don't know how much they got in some spots, is 10, 12 inches, it's just, and it was in the middle of the, wee hours of the morning then when it happened. So it's just, man, it's a tragedy. My heart goes out to all the people affected by that. Prayers, it's crazy over there.
It is, man. I was actually in Marble Falls that weekend, and it was raining like nonstop. And I left I was just there for Friday. And my sister who lives there says Saturday was even worse. Plan was to, take the boat out for that weekend. I wouldn't get on a kayak on a holiday weekend. I'll tell you that much. But we're going on her boat, and it was crazy. It was like, it wouldn't stop raining. Like it was nonstop, 24 hours.
Yeah, I won't fish on a holiday weekend. There's no way.
No, not on a kayak
here, on the coast. I mean, I got places I can go where the boats aren't going to be thick, where I might not see another boat. I got some places like that too. I could sneak in. But on the Texas coast here, this is normally where it starts tapering back off. The 4th of July is usually like the last big holiday of the summer,
Yeah.
And then it usually starts slowing down a little bit to, now, I'm hoping because, Memorial Day to 4th of July, is just bombarded, but yeah, I can get out. Seems like a lot more people are taking off. I heard some, Bite Me podcast, heard them talking about this, and I've noticed it as well, is that a lot more people, Fridays are a little busier than they had been. And it seems like Sundays, people are kind of getting out of town earlier and going back to whatever, So Sundays may be the new Monday.
I know, right?
But yeah, normally I'm not fishing on the weekends anyways, unless I have an event I'm going to, a tournament. But you know, because I work 2 of my weekends out of the month. I'm working one weekend I'm on days, the next weekend I'm on the weekend before, like I'm on nights and I'm on days the following weekend, then I'm off one weekend, then I'm off one weekend. Yeah. So yeah, I work 2 weekends out of the month to begin with. So
yeah. I don't, same thing. I don't fish on the weekends unless there's a tournament, or if actually this weekend, this Sunday is going to be the exception. I'm going to meet up with a couple of friends and record some content for the YouTube. But other than that, and only because I can only go out on the weekends. Other than that, I just somewhere between Monday through Thursday, that's my preferred. Hopefully, usually Mondays when I go out. There's usually not a lot of people on the lake on Mondays, even on summer. But yeah, it's anyways. Let's get into this, buddy. We got some people that are excited that oilfield anglers, and they're going. This episode is perfect. My boy and I will be hitting up the coast in 2 weeks. That's awesome. I've been meaning to go out there, and I've talked to you about for years now. Like, I'm going down there, and I haven't. But this is
I went up there and fished a certain little state park lake with you. We had fun, caught some on frogs that day.
I know it's. I've always said this: the day that Dustin Nichols decides to get on bass tournaments, watch out, because I've seen you wreck them.
I cast some checks. The saltwater things keep me busy.
Yeah.
I've traveled a little bit. I fished Seminole one year for the Hobie BOS event there, and I wrecked them, found them pre-fishing. And then the Friday, probably about 9:15 in the morning, I had no idea what was going on, but I had the worst pain in my life was making me bend in fetal position. It was a kidney stone.
Oh.
So yeah. I tried to fish the first morning. I caught a 19.5 right off the bat, and by 7:15, I was back at the truck, laying in my truck in the fetal position.
Oh my God!
I could not fish.
Wow!
I had pain medicine, and it was working, and then it was still a throbbing like pain. It was just hit me.
The worst kind of pain.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, kidney stones are no joke. But yeah, I've dabbled in some of the events around here when we had the Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League, Texas Kayak Bass League. I've cashed some checks.
I know you have. I know. I've seen you on freshwater.
Cashed a few here and there. Yeah, I still love the bass fish. It's fun.
So for those that don't know you, Dustin, what do you fish out? First of all, like what usually
in Victoria, Texas, and I will drive to fish a lot of different places. As you know, Texas, there's anything bigger in Texas. I drive 43 miles each way to work. When I do work, I work half the month. I work shift work. I'm at a petrochemical plant. That's why I'm so much on the water during the week. Try to stack some content, have fun with that. But like yesterday, I drove to Port Aransas. I was on the water by 6 o'clock. It takes me about an hour and 35 minutes to get to where I went yesterday, and had a good time out on the flats. 1.5 foot of water, nice grass, turtle grass, and nice sand pockets, and the redfish action was killer. Even following, we're leading up to a full moon right now. Those fish were still pretty active in the morning, and then by mid-morning, I had a storm kind of encroaching on me, but that mid-morning bite, 10:30ish, was on fire. It was like the close to the major when the moon was underfoot, and they were fired up. I was just burning wake baits across the potholes, and they were just whacking it.
That's one thing about growing up in Puerto Rico. I remember saltwater fishing is really more subject to moon phase than I think freshwater fishing. Would you agree with that?
Well, I just know a lot of times, especially full moon, if you got a big moon at night and they're moon overhead, and they're eating like crazy at night,
in the morning,
they might not eat first thing in the morning, it just, but like you said, a lot of those fish are opportunistic feeders, like speckled trout are for sure. So if you get something that makes them mad, and you can kind of, make them eat it, piss them off. Yeah. So yeah, I like to throw a wake bait because it does that. You can get those reaction strikes from it because they'll just see it and they'll just like you won't even know there's a fish in that pothole. They'll be laid up on the side of the grass underneath the undercut of the grass, and you'll bring it through that sand pocket and they'll just boom, and they'll just come out of nowhere and just annihilate it.
What is your favorite fish to target in inshore saltwater?
Big speckled trout in the fall, starting in the fall through the winter. Yeah.
What is the best time when if anybody's wants to make a trip to go? It's just like, you know what, I want to go inshore saltwater fishing, chase reds,
speckled trout fishing has been pretty hot right now. For this time of year, you're going to want to find the drop offs off of those grass lines and the little deeper channels and everything, and you'll find some fish. Find the bait, find the fish. You'll see the birds diving and this and that. Redfish, like I said, the redfish for this time of year with the water in the upper 80s, they've been on fire. But it's tough to beat the marsh, like the backwaters in the fall, with a good shrimp hatch, and then the fish are just schooled up. We'll have schools of redfish just cruising the bank right through the grass, through the flood tide. And when the tide's flooded up, they'll be back behind the grass, and you'll just hear them coming. You'll hear them just popping shrimp. Shrimp will be flying everywhere. There'll be the little white snowy egrets will be running down the bank, picking the shrimp off as they're jumping everywhere, because they'll have them shrimp all pushed up next to the bank, and those birds will be you'll see them playing hopscotch. You'll see them chasing. You'll look across the lake you're in, which we call some of the back areas. They're named lakes, or a pond, even though it's brackish water or salt, fresh kind of mixed. Those redfish are back in there with them shrimp hatch, and they're just back there annihilating them. Just boom, 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 boom.
Nice. And what about flounder? What's the best time for flounder?
Flounder, man, flounder are thick in Mississippi. I just fished an event over there the weekend before last, and the Friday pre-fishing, I think I caught 15, and they were from, their keeper size over there is 12 inches, but I think my biggest that day was a little over 19, almost 3 pounds. I lost a really big one the tournament day. I had a couple small ones, but I lost a really big one that cost me some money, but it's okay. But yeah, flounder, like that area I was in was a bayou kind of that fed back to a big back lake. And there was tons of shad in there, like inch and a half, 2 inch shad. And I was like, flounder, they got eyes on the top of their body. They lay on the bottom and they're looking up for something to come by so they can ambush it. Flounder don't really like to swim around and chase stuff too much. They sit in the mud and are on the, sandy edge of the shoreline and ambush something that comes by. So I was like, you know what? I gotta find something. I gotta use something that I can cover a lot of water. And a paddle tail is great with a little heavier jig head to get it down and bump it on the bottom, but the water was a little off color. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw a spinner bait. Z-Man makes one called the Bullseye. It's a little small, looks like a saltwater beetle spin with a jig head. And I put one of their minnows on there, the minnow's little paddle tail. So you need something that looked like 2 shad swimming by, and it had some flash from the blade and some vibration. So in that dirtier water, that can play a factor. And that's what I did. I was just swimming that along the grass edges or any kind of little drain that came out of the marsh, a ditch that opened up. They had a little, depression. You throw it in there and there'd be flounder sitting in there. I mean, pretty much everyone I was throwing into had be like a 14-inch flounder. 14-inch flounder. Once you found a couple, there's more around in that area.
Yeah, they're usually school, right? Like
they're just kind of in the same area. Yeah. I wouldn't call it a school, but there'll be areas where they would bed down and there'll be quite a few in there mixed in. Normally, if you're in like a drain and you catch one, you'll catch another or a few out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's because they don't actually start like swim to chase. They're like more like I'm hiding.
They're ambushed.
Wait, the bait come to me. They're not searching for bait. They kind of know the places, and then they'll. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's not a school. It's just an area where there will be a bunch of them just laying down.
The trout, they'll school up and push some bait and stuff. But like the redfish will too. You'll see them on the move in the fall when there's the bull red run, where all the bulls will start moving out of the passes and the jetties to spawn offshore. The bigger flounder do that as well in the fall. The big females will move out, of the passes out into the open water and spawn out there as well. But yeah, it's man, the redfish in the fall is pretty dang fun. When you can get out there and see that those fish pushing down the shoreline. You look across the lake, you'll see them little white birds. Them white birds don't like each other.
Yeah.
They're
always competing for food.
Only time they together is if you see them playing hopscotch or if it's mating season. That's about it. Normally they just by themselves doing their own thing.
That's one thing about that. I think it's a lot of people are kind of surprised if they've never done it.
Mhm.
It's birds are a real nuisance when you're going saltwater fishing. I was just saltwater fishing inshore in Puerto Rico, and it's like, dude, every time it's like I had to like. There was a couple of times that I'm like, all right, I'm hooking in a turn here because it's they see the bait and it's like
they'll try to eat the top water. You just got to yell at them. You're like, I just yell at them and make them go away. Or if I'll tell them, if you eat that top water, you get in my kayak, you're dead. I'm gonna wring your neck.
They're a nuisance, man. It's like, oh my god, it's like every other time I'd cast it is chasing on it.
Yeah, it's the terns, the seagulls, those little deals. Yeah, they can kind of be a nuisance. It's not too bad. I'm not throwing live bait, so normally it's if you're throwing a wake bait or some suspending twitch bait or a paddle tail, they're really not going to mess with that. It's usually when you're throwing top water that they'll come down and try to nip at it. You just got to yell at them.
Let me ask you this: for somebody that's going like to the first time they're doing this and they don't know much about chasing reds, flounder, or trout. I know in bass fishing, using live bait is frowned upon, but I know saltwater fishing is different.
Yeah.
Still, there's that stigma that you're not really a fisherman if you're catching them on live bait. But honestly, when somebody's going on vacation, you want to enjoy. You just want the experience.
Right.
I mean, do you really want to go the artificial lure, which it's going to be a lot harder?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not experienced, if you're not with a guide, then you're good chance you're going to get skunked. What are some of the tips that you would say, would they, is it as frowned upon to go, live bait, and what type of live bait did you use?
I don't fish with live bait. I just have no desire to. You have a chance to catch more trash fish with it. You're going to catch hard heads. You're going to catch pinfish. You're going to catch, spot or whatever else. And, it's just, you got a chance of catching all the trash fish. So, I mean, that being said, though, if you just want to go out and have a good time, go get you a popping cork with a, 16 to 20 inch leader and a little small kale hook and a quart of live shrimp. Get you a small little live well or bait bucket and take you some shrimp down there and go hit a place that has, a pier at night. You can go free line live shrimp off of the jetties, with a couple split shots and a shrimp and throw it out there. Just let it drift in the current. You got a shot at some decent fish doing that as well. But yeah, I just don't throw it. I like the challenge of artificials and I like tricking them. And redfish have tendencies just like bass. I mean, I catch them on frogs. I catch them on buzz baits. Catch them on whopper ploppers.
That's gonna be exciting. Catching a big red on top water
on frog, dude. It's fun when they're up in that grass acting stupid, and I throw frogs in there. I got it on video. I actually took a jalapeno and ran a wire through it and twisted it on both ends. Put a split ring. Put a
like a real. A real jalapeno. We're not talking about a bait
put a treble hook on the end of it, and I threw it into a school of reds, and I caught a redfish on a jalapeno. I'm gonna film a video of that this fall, and I'm gonna put it out there and see what it does.
Maybe it's Mexican redfish. They love that.
Yeah, they like spicy. He said, "Where are the tomatoes and the onions? And I need my pico."
Shout out to Cameron Smith and Mike M.
Oh, Cam Smith, what's up?
Yeah. I'm going to be fishing with Cam Smith this weekend. I'm going to create some content.
Yeah, he's got an open invite to come down here too. We'll both get some content of each other. I eyeballed his trailer before he got it.
Nice. Yeah, his Snake River trailers. I need to get the owner of Snake River. I think
Steve.
Snake River.
Yeah, he was on the podcast. He was one of my team guys on Jackson when I was running Jackson Kayaks fishing team. Yeah,
nice.
For those that don't know that, I was with Jackson for almost 8 years.
I know.
I was a team lead for 2, and then the last 2 years I was the manager of the fishing team. Yep. left them. It's been a year since I've left Jackson. Yeah.
Jackson Kayaks, it's it used to be one of the brands well known, but for whatever reason, it's not, they're not as popular as they used to be, I guess.
Yeah, they're still out there. I just don't think they haven't released a new kayak, so they're kind of in the background.
Yeah,
but they're still there. I was part of the design team for the NAR. I love that boat. I did. I just wish it had a little more volume in the back tank well. But other than that boat was killer fast. Even with the upgraded pedal drive, it was fast. It was a killer boat. I hated to see it go, but it was time for change. Change is good sometimes. So I'm working with a local dealer that's close to me, and Grassroots is, back to that side of thing, helping them out is what I saw is what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm doing. I don't have any defining tie to a brand. I can fish out of whatever I want to. So.
That's kind of like the best thing. That's the same thing me and Cameron have with Mariner Sails.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I fish the Hobie because that's the one I want, not because that's one that offered me a deal. It's like I can pick any kayak. And it gives me more freedom to say, all right, I can pick and choose a kayak that I want to fish and feel comfortable that I'm doing contact this because I picked this kayak, not because I was paid to pick this kayak or anything like that or whatever it is, which is fine. It's a business, now with social media and influencing it's become more of a business in the last 5 or 10 years.
Well, you're basically your own brand.
Yeah.
Like I got into this on the last podcast I was on, talking about just organic promotion and how much that benefits you. For the companies that are smaller and the locally owned companies and stuff like that, is to, if you like their stuff, tag the crap out of them. They need support too, to keep them going. So that big company don't come buy them out,
I think, not to get too much off topic, because I want to keep talking about targeting redfish and trout and flounder. But I think kayaks right now, when you talk about, like you mentioned, Jackson Kayak not having anything new, then they it gets forgotten. Mm-hmm. And I think kayaks right now are like when iPhone started. When iPhones, every time a new iPhone would come out, even though it was exactly like the previous version, there will be lines of people. Not anymore now. Now nobody cares.
Not me ever. I'm an Android user.
But it used to be like that cult following, like, new iPhone. And you see the lines, and there would be on back order. Now a new iPhone releases, and it's like, I'll get it when I can. Yep. But kayaks are at that point where you look at the Bonafide XTR, it's like, I gotta have it. Everybody's gotta have it, and it's a great kayak. Don't get me wrong, but we're now at that point where it's like it's whoever is making more changes and more innovations, like Bonafide. They're the ones who are breaking it in.
Watch right
now.
They're
the ones getting the attention.
Yeah, Jackson, like I said, a company just like Wilderness, they came out with that new one, but dang, it sure is similar to Bonafides. I don't know what was going on with that. But a brand will get stagnant, and then they need to be innovative and come back with something new and move back to the forefront. I'm hoping Jackson can do that. Some good years with them. I enjoyed it. There's no hard feelings, and
it was just time for one of the best river kayaks I've ever made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get back into the subject.
Let's get back into it. All good.
So, what are some of the best? Let's start with redfish. What are some of the best artificial baits for redfish that you recommend?
It all depends on what they're feeding on. Mm-hmm. If they're eating shrimp in the marsh, I'm gonna throw a small shrimp imitation to match the hatch. Same thing. They're busting shad, I'm gonna throw something with flash, like the little spinner bait or a small paddle tail or a small wake bait. The big finger mullet, you throw a bigger swim bait or you throw a top water. A couple different things you can do. Those higher tides, they might be pushed back up in the grass some more. You want something to get their attention, to draw them out of the grass. So on a windier day with some higher tides, I'll have a popping cork on with a shrimp imitation about 12 inches underneath it, where I can just. So when you slash that rod and make that popping cork pull through the water, it sounds like a redfish blowing up on something. and that'll get their attention, and they'll come seeing what's going on, and they'll see a little shrimp bait just dangling in the water. They're gonna eat it. So, but most of the time, if I have to resort to a popping cork, it's a tough day, or it's windy on a windblown shoreline, and I can't get their attention with anything else. So, you got to put it to work. Yeah, but mainly just match the hatch, see what you got in the area. For somebody just starting out, go get your 1/8 ounce jig head. And if the water's clear, get your natural colored bait, like, pure chicken on the chain, some kind of color like that, pumpkin seed, and then just stick it along the bottom, because you got a shot at catching a flounder and a trout as well. Just kind of bounce it along, swim that paddle tail along the grass lines and just high target areas. Can't miss doing that.
What about trout? I remember I went trout fishing, but the guy that was using live bait, croakers. Mm-hmm. Man, I can see why that is so good. If you ever seen a croaker, it's just small. Well, the ones we got, it were small, but oh my God, they would make a lot of noise. There's a reason why they call it croakers.
Croaker, yeah.
And I mean, you cast that one out, those trout will hear that thing from I don't know how far away, but I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if like a mile.
Yeah, they honed in on them. Yeah, trout. I mean, it all depends on what time of year. Just like I said, like yesterday, on the flats, I was catching them on top water first thing in the morning. It was on the flat. They use the potholes just like they'll move up, especially after a night that water kind of cooled down a little bit on those flats. They'll come out of those little deeper channels, and they'll get up there on the flats and chase the pinfish and the mullet. And then as the temperature warms up,
I think we lost either we lost Dustin or you guys lost me. If anybody's watching, let me know if you can still hear or listen to me, see me or listen to me. But I think we lost Dustin. Let me see. All right, I think we lost Dustin. But anyways, while we get Dustin back, let me send him a message real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Technology sometimes fails us. Let's send good old boy Dustin here a message. What is going on? Okay, connection is. But well, anyways, while I try to get Dustin on the line, like I mentioned, welcome once again to the Basket and Beers. Let me see. Oh, Dustin is replying here. Let's see what we got. Again, my apologies, everyone. His internet just crashed, so he'll be back. So, anyways, like I mentioned, we're talking about inshore saltwater fishing. When we get Dustin back, we're gonna break down some of the baits that you can use for saltwater inshore fishing for trout, mainly trout, redfish, and what's the other one that we're talking about? Oh, and flounder. And then we'll talk about some of the things you need to consider, safety recommendations, maintenance. If you are deciding to go fish on the coast and you're bringing your own equipment, it could get really salty, and so that's always could be an issue. And maybe some manufacturers are not made for saltwater fishing, but looks like Dustin's back. Are you there, buddy?
What's up?
You're back. I don't have sure your if it was me or it was
audio though.
You don't have my audio?
I can't hear you though. Weird.
That's weird. Hope everybody can see me. If anybody's on the comment section, let me know if you can listen to me. Dustin can't listen to me. Shout out to Brandon Allen. What's up, Armando? Brandon, we got to get on the water soon, buddy. And then Joshua, he says, I do well with bugs jigs, but my pop's been using basic plastic swim baits. Brandon says that you can hear me. All right. So looks like we got Dustin back. You can hear me?
I'm good now. I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
All right. It happens.
Yeah,
Technology.
my internet just crashed. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it crashed. I'm on my phone now, so
All
so
right.
there might be some echo. But
Nah, it's all good. Let's go back to what we're talking about. So, trout. What are some of the best colors for trout? And does it change by season? What's the consistency? Because I know, in freshwater fishing, when it's winter and then when it's summer, it's different colors, different style baits, whether it's a craw or a shad. When it comes to chasing trout, does that
my
change?
colors will depend on water clarity. The water clarity would make my choice of colors on, not the time of year traditionally. Yeah.
Well,
basically on what the water clarity is.
Muddy waters kind of same as as freshwater, kind of like black and blue or chartreuse or something like that. That looks like
the world. There it goes. I'm back. My internet's back.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah.
So on muddy waters, what did you say, like black and blue or chartreuse?
Muddy waters, I'm gonna do what's called morning glory. It's kind of like black with like blue and silver glitter with a chartreuse tail. Yep, that's a good one. There's a company, Coastal Brew, that makes some good stuff. Southern Salt has a bait called the Hoodwink. There's a one called Dark Night, their color, and then a color called Swamp Gold. It is killer. I really like that one a lot. Pretty dang cool. Okay, I'm going to jump back on the computer now as well. So if you'll add me on that one.
All right, let me remove you from this one and add you on this one so there's no echo. You back?
I'm back on the right way.
There we go. No worries, buddy.
What happened to the internet? The whole house went down. Like everything, the cable, everything. That's crazy.
So on flounder, it's mostly swim baits, right? Do you ever use like a shrimp style bait for flounder?
Yeah, I'll use a shrimp style bait. Sometimes I'll rig up a tandem rig. I'll have
it's like a donkey rig,
kind of like a donkey rig. Yeah, a little bit. I'll tie a Palomar knot on just like a little barbed hook and then run about a 12-inch leader down to a 1/4-ounce jig head and put like a gub style bait or a paddle tail on that. And then on just a little barb hook, I'll put a gulp shrimp on there.
Oh, nice.
Just kind of bounce that on the bottom, and then that kind of gives them something else too. So, yeah, some little tantalizing tidbit.
Kind of this side note on the flounder. I went last year around this time last year to Alaska and got to do some halibut. Is that how you pronounce it? Halibut.
Halibut. Yeah.
They almost. I couldn't tell the difference between halibut and a flounder.
The
meat is amazing.
They get way bigger.
Yeah, they get
way bigger.
There was a guy. It's what's crazy. I have it on my Instagram, but because there's shots involved, it I guess they kind of like didn't show the video too much because of the whenever there's a gun a gun or
it shot it. Yeah. The algorithm kind of.
There was a young kid that got a almost 200-pound halibut.
Oh yeah, big gigantic one.
It took him like 40 minutes to get it on.
Oh yeah,
I was shocked when the guy took his 9mm and started shooting at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was not expecting to see shots fired at a fishing trip. But good Lord, those things are huge. It was like a barn door.
Oh yeah, gigantic. I've caught some like that flounder I lost. I've caught some big flounder, but I've lost some even bigger ones because them things don't get big by being dumb, And then what was cool, I went to Connecticut a few years back, and fished a 3 Bells event up there. They had their little deal, and went fluking. Fluke in the sound up there. I mean, it was like a 2-ounce ball, like bucktail jig with a curly tail. Then I had another teaser with a curly tail above it, and I was in 60 foot of water, just drifting and bouncing, drift and bounce. I'd look on my graph and find a kind of little hard bottoms and drift, doink, doink, and I was catching like 2 at a time. They were like 18, 19-inch fluke. Nothing gigantic, but it was fun as hell.
Like, were there flounders or halibut?
Yeah, fluke. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a type of
it's not
flatfish.
called.
Yeah, it's called a fluke. Yeah.
Is it like a flounder?
Like
or
a
is
flounder.
It,
it looks just like a flounder.
So, is there anything other than the location different? Are they the same species, flounder and halibut? I'm asking.
No, they're different. I mean, they're both flat. I don't know the different scientific names and stuff, but halibut get gigantic. So, it's crazy. But there's other fish too. I don't get to target them as much here, but I've caught them. Is in snook. Snook are killer. I've caught some killer ones in Florida, and I've caught some here. The range has extended up a little bit, but they don't get as big as the ones on the Gulf Coast of Florida. But we do have some here.
What about tarpon? You get a lot of tarpon here in the coast?
We get some tarpon here. You really like Port O'Connor is known for some tarpon outside of the jetties, but like I'm not taking my kayak out there. The currents and the shoaling there, when the waves are working against the low tide, the outgoing tide, it can stack up pretty good. But there's some backwaters. You can find some here. I've caught some before. 20, 30 pounders, nothing gigantic, but I've caught them before in the backwaters.
Interesting. There's is it called Baffin Bay? I think
Baffin. Mm-hmm.
That remember I had Chris Castro on the podcast a few years ago. I think the first time he was here, he was talking about that is like he described it as ancient water because of the high salt levels on it.
Yep.
And
because super saline, and then there's old serpulloid rock formations, some old worm rock formations in there that are suspended as structure, and they stay a little bit warmer in the winter time. They absorb the heat during the day from the sun if it gets through, and then that water's a little warmer, draws in the bait, and the big fish hang around them. I've caught some good fish in there. Last winter I had a pretty dang magical winter in there. November, December, pretty epic.
Yeah, I've heard about
Baffin special. Baffin is special. It's at risk right now, so if y'all can kind of look around, Speckled Truth, Tobin Strickland from Trout Support, everybody's been posting about this desalination plant in Alice or Driscoll or wherever, kind of snuck in under the radar, and they want to discharge the depleted brine, the brine byproduct after this desalination unit, into a creek that feeds into Alizon, which is a part of Baffin. It's got a lot of anti discharge publicity right now. All the guides, everybody's banding together and it's going to fight this because this is jacked up.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, humans are we humans are the worst creatures when it comes to maintaining our resources. It's sad to see. When if somebody's going as far as you live in Texas. Let's say somebody is like, I think Oilfield Angler was talking about coming down to the coast. Mm-hmm. What are some of the best spots for somebody that's new that gives them the better experience, whether it's because it has great sightseeing or that has great fishing?
It's vast. I wouldn't suggest going to Galveston because think about how many people live in Houston.
Yeah.
And think how much more pressure that gets with that much population there. It's close by. As you move down to Freeport, Matagorda, it's a little less crowded. Where I'm at, when I fish around the Port Lavaca, Calhoun County area, Port O'Connor gets its crowds as well. I mean, but there's spots you can sneak away and find fish. Rockport's busy. It's summer. Everywhere is kind of busy. Everybody wants to get on the water. There's a lot of guides that run.
South Padre is pretty good too. I fished South Padre before.
South Padre's way down there. Yeah, that's about 3 hours and 40 minutes for me to go down there. Baffin, I can get there in a little under 2 hours. So I make the trek down there in the winter. I'll be on the water. If it sets up, I'll be on the water at 1 or 2 in the morning and fish until like mid-morning, sometimes chasing them big girls.
Let's talk about the equipment. Like we mentioned, some of those lagoons are hypersaline.
Yeah.
Starting with the kayaks. What kayaks you recommend for this style of fishing? Or sometimes skiffs. I know skiffs are very popular. What are some of the kayaks that you think is like, hey, this kayak works with this? style of fishing and what not anything, against that brand or that model, but maybe it's not suited for that.
Well, there's a lot of places where you could, get on a old tarpon, 160 or a Kraken 13.5 and paddle into some of these back bayous and stuff and not see another boat. But right now I'm running PWR 129 with the Torpedo Travel ultralight motor, and I can trim that up. I can fish in the backwaters in less than a foot of water. It paddles well. It's real stable. But you still definitely want something to handle the chop and the, some of the bigger bays we have here. If you want to cross and chance that, you get a wind, seems like every day, like it was, 6 to 8 miles an hour in the morning yesterday. And by the time I got off the water, I had a storm pop up and kind of get some outflow from it. So it was blowing 18 to 20 when I was heading back in, and I hit some pretty good waves where I came out to the big bay out of my the flats I was in. I went out and around to get back into the channel to go back to the launch, and I hit some 2 or 3 foot rollers coming through until I could turn back into my channel. So yeah, you need to have a kayak that can deal with that as well, and you need to have some just watch the weather too. I knew that storm was coming, so I was getting out of there anyways because I didn't want that storm to sneak up on me. It's one that just popped up out of nowhere. But yeah, I like the PWR right now. It's been good to me. Yeah.
Any kayaks that you feel are not, and again, nothing against any brand or model, but just not suited for that style of fishing?
Well, I just wouldn't want to. I see too many people come out I know it's a starting point. I'm not trying to badmouth that.
Yeah, we know it's
I just
more
see
about
too many people coming out there in a 10-foot kayak from Academy with no lights, no PFD, and then that's just a recipe for disaster. That big water, you get some waves, some wind, big boat wakes, hit you just right, you're over. I saw some kids launching before daylight, no lights, no idea that they had to have a PFD. Even in Texas, you don't have to wear it; it has to be on the vessel,
which is stupid. I always think you should wear it, but anyways.
Yeah, I taught water survival instruction in the Marine Corps, and I still wear mine. If that speaks volumes right there, I can swim like a fish.
Hey, you used to surf in Puerto Rico, I remember.
Well, I surfed all over the place too. And granted, I had a leash with a board, and I got hit in the head. I've got held under for multiple waves. I've done some of that too. But a lot of those big wave surfers now do wear something they can inflate on them now.
Yeah.
And they're surfing bigger waves. But yeah, it's man, yeah, it's there isn't a kayak I wouldn't say don't like a Shoaly or something like that. It's not made, it's made for creeks and rivers. It's not made for bigger water. Get something that's a little longer that can kind of take the chop and handle the bigger water that you're going to deal with. And then like on the East Coast, Florida, you got big tides over there. You got 6-foot tide swings over there on the Atlantic seaboard. In Jacksonville, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, up to North Carolina, bigger 8-foot tide swings. So that current moves, it rips, so you got to be prone to checking your forecast, check your tide, use a tide to your advantage. No pelicans to the oil rigs.
No.
You need a big water kayak, something like the Old Town, the bigger Old Town, Hobie PA14. There's quite a few like that people are taking out there to the rigs. We got rigs that are close. I know Chris probably touched on that last week.
Oh, yeah.
He's got their events going on now for that. I hadn't had a time to get out there. I like going out there and chasing the kings and the cobia and the snapper as well. But it's
a whole different ball. It's completely different than even inshore saltwater fishing.
Oh yeah, totally different. Your electronics come into play a lot more. Granted, I have been using the scope on the speckled trout in the winter. I got a good feeling for that last winter on some deeper water structure with speckled trout and redfish. So that's something to think on. And then the glide baits was I've been dabbling in that over the past few years and kind of messing with that for the big trout as well. There's a company that I've been working with, Donkey Bay. He makes some good stuff out there. We go on a trip every year. This will be our 3rd year now. We go to Port Mansfield and wade fish 2 or 3 days down there. catch them on swim baits and mess around in that clear water in December. It's pretty down there as well. Yeah, there's so many baits out there. Like I said, that hoodwink from Southern Salt, the wake baits, third wake bait, the goat. That's what I was catching them on yesterday. A wake bait, kind of ripples on the top a little bit, zigzags. It's a great bass bait as well. Sleeper around the reeds. You can get reaction strikes from them. Nothing. I think it just makes them so mad. They just like, what is that? I'm about to eat it and find out. They just like, I've caught some big speckled trout on it too.
I remember the first time I went speckled trout after, been bass fishing for a few years, and I learned the hard way. You don't lip those things when you catch them.
Oh no, not a flounder. Flounder will bite you too. Redfish, you can lip a redfish if they have a crusher in the back of their throat that is gnarly. If you look in there, you're like, holy cow. But if you lift their gums up, they got teeth. You can see them. There's teeth on there. You can see it. But you can get away with lipping a red. I mess with them all the time. The main thing, is the fins that get you. Their gill plates got some little, sharp edges on them as well. But the trout, they got the fangs, big yellow mouth they got 2 big fangs on the bottom and 2 on the top.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. That was
yeah. Like you don't want to lip a pike or a muskie or pickerel or whatever you want to call them up there, jackfish or whatever they call them. Yeah. I
wanted to ask you, you touched on it.
Okay.
About electronics. Because I figure a lot of times when you're fishing those marsh, you're in a 2-3 foot of water.
Right.
Electronics, I didn't think would be a big thing, but then I thought about how everything looks GPS. The same. Yes, exactly.
If you're not familiar with the area, yes. Like in Mississippi, some of that stuff, in Louisiana especially, some of that back marsh, I got my graph, I got my chart plotter pulled up, and I'm tracking everything, so I know I can zoom in and get back out there. I got my phone as well, with Google Earth on it. If I have to look, I can go around that. But some, like in the winter, yes, I'll use it. I'll use my side imaging and everything, because just like trout, they'll move up in some deeper water. The redfish, we get big fronts here. It'll pull all the water. With a low tide, it'll blow the water out. You'll be in the bayous in 7 to 9 foot of water, and you'll find the redfish on the graph doing that too in the wintertime. The fish.
So it is useful, other than
just it's very useful. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering.
Especially around industrial areas where you're using your side imaging around the bulkheads and locating the fish that way as well. Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to ask, especially when you're in the marsh, I've seen so many videos of people usually on their boats, but the tide completely leaves them and they're stuck in the mud for hours, sometimes to the next day. How, for somebody that's new, that's going fishing out there, how do they find out, what they need to get more information? There's low tide and high tides.
There's some apps out there, Fish Finder, and then the NOAA, the tides and currents, and the National Data Buoy Center. I can look at tidal information and pull it up and plot it for the whole week coming. But like I said, that could be out in Lavaca Bay, could be the tide station, but then I'm 35 miles or however far away, this on a different edge into a different bay. So the times adjust just a little bit. So you have to know that, that water still got to come in through that bay back into that bayou. So it could be a little different on the time, but you just got to plan accordingly. You can Google search your tides and pull up the National Data Buoy Center tides or NOAA tides and currents and pull up the stations. It'll have a map of the area. You zoom in, it's got little pin dots you can click on, and it'll pull up the station. And it'll give you the tide data, the wind, sometime tidal coefficient, and the water temperature, air temperature, wind data, all kinds of stuff like that. And there's some other apps out there too. Windy is a pretty good one. Just like, for somebody beginning, I don't use it, but there's other apps out there that you can use, like Salt Strong and some different stuff like that.
And you recommend, if for somebody that's new, just go where there's, especially if they're staying like really inshore into the marsh, you know, where the tide can completely leave you? Kind of recommend just going where there's high tide, or?
Well, you got to do map study. I mean, you have to. You can't just. I don't go anywhere just blind. I'm going to look at it for, like, I'd never been to Mississippi. I was just there for a tournament. I studied maps. I looked at this. I said, okay, I know this is a deep bayou. I looked at topographic map. I know it feeds back to this back lake. I know what's going on in here. That looks about 2 foot across the whole thing and some deeper pockets in the middle. I was like, even at low tide, I know I'm good. So I'm okay with that, you know. It just comes down to study it. And if you got a tackle shop nearby or somebody that's familiar with it, don't hesitate to ask them, hey, I'm going to be kayaking this area. You know, is there any obstructions in the water I need to look out for, or what's going on? Am I going to get stuck in these back creeks? You know, local knowledge is good. A good hand like that too. You know, boat ramp talk is good. The people in Mississippi were very friendly, because I had asked them, like, hey, do I got anything I need to worry about here? And then I was like, I don't think I do. I see crab pots at a lot of places. So normally that's a sign as well. The crab boats are running around, and they don't draft real shallow like some of them bay boats do. So, you know, if they're running around in there, you're okay. But just pre-plan, man. You got to have a game plan for sure. You know,
and talking about equipment, like going back to, you know, those hypersaline bays. What are there any reels? I think more than anything, reels. Like any reels that you do not recommend for saltwater? What are the maintenance? You know, when you're done fishing, you got all that crusty saltwater on your reel.
Yeah, you can.
How do you clean it? What detergents you recommend cleaning?
Yeah. Right now, I've been on Shimano for a couple years now. Their Tranks 150 HG has been a dang workhorse for me. It's considered saltwater specific, so it does have some different materials and stuff that the internal gearing and stuff is made out of. It's definitely a good reel. Been a workhorse. Pull them apart pretty quick, clean them up. Though I do take care of them. I've been using a product called Salt's Gone. It's a spray bottle that comes. It's a concentrated solution. You get it by the gallon. You mix 1 ounce of it to a gallon of water, and then I got a sprayer that I spray it on my rods, my lures, spray my motor down, spray my kayak down, my truck down, everything. And that stuff's been money.
Is there any
helping out?
Is there any products that people think that's good to use, but you would say like I remember people talk about WD-40.
Don't spray WD-40 all over your reel. No,
exactly.
No. If anything, use something silicone based like Real Magic, or I have Corrosion X. I'll spray it on some stuff here and there. Little different, or like Royal Purple makes a Teflon based lubricant that works pretty good. I'll spray that on some stuff as well. Yep. And then rods are, I mean, like you can go take some bass rods to, you know, go target the redfish and everything. But, you know, I'm a stickler for my saltwater stuff, man. I got separate rods for bass fishing. I got separate rods for my saltwater, just like I got different rods for offshore fishing and everything else.
What are the rods you recommend for, you know, targeting any of those 3 that we mentioned, like what I call
like
the big 3?
Inshore rod, like I'm throwing a 6.9. It's medium, extra fast tip. It's got a short little butt end on it where I can work that top water without it getting in my PFD and all that. No big old long handles. I like something I can get in and get tight to my body and work my baits. Same thing with the soft plastic. You got it. You're just fast twitching it in front of you, you know. Medium, extra fast. And then for my wake bait, you know, you got to, in top water, something a little bit, maybe a moderate, you know, something that have a little more give, has backbone, but has a little more, you know, parabolic bend where it could absorb the head shakes and everything, and they don't pull the hooks. Yeah, definitely. And they're sensitive. Yeah, you don't go out there with a big heavy action freaking broomstick out there and you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And braid to a leader. Yeah. Every time.
Braid fluoro leader. Is that the best one?
Yeah. I run monofilament leader. Is a company called Osprey Leader Material. I've been using their stuff. It's been pretty good to me. Yeah, for top water, I tie it straight to a speed clip. That way I can change my top waters out real quick. The fish don't see that. There's already hooks dangling, so it's all good. And then for plastics or wake baits or different things like that, I'll have, 20-pound braid to a 20-pound leader, a good 18 to 20-inch strand of it when it's clear. Or if there's heavy structure, like earlier I was in Jacksonville, Florida, lots of big oyster heads and stuff and the tide swings. So them fish were freaking getting around the oyster and just slicing me. So yeah. I went and got 65-pound braid and put it on my reel, and I tied straight braid to the freaking wake bait, and I landed my fish after I did that.
Yeah.
The water wasn't super clear, so it didn't really matter. A lot of times I'll throw straight braid to a jig head when I'm in the marsh as well for the redfish. That way I can get them in as quick as I can, especially if it's a live weigh-in tournament. I'm going to get those fish in as quick as I can and get them in my live well in front of me so I can tend to them, make sure they're going to live. Because if they die, you lose half a pound. That costs you some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, you have to bring them alive for the tournament?
Yeah. There's quite a few. When we used to have the Professional Redfish League, it was a half-pound penalty per fish, so you could lose up to a pound with your 2 fish for the day. Elite Series as well has live weigh-ins as well. It's a hassle. It is. Yeah, I really like to see, kind of like the Florida Redfish Series went to CPR. They're running theirs based on CPR. And also there's a new one coming out, Joe Camiotti. Saltwater Kayak Series is scheduled to start up next year. And it will be slam tournaments, and it'll be CPR as well. And I like the CPR just because on the kayak, you're not have to deal with the extra weight of a live well. If you think about it, you're going to add close to 9 or 10 gallons of water.
Yep.
And then 2 7-pound redfish. You're looking at almost 100 pounds of extra weight.
Yeah, it's not safe
on that kayak. Yep. And then I ran it in front of me so I can tend to my fish. So I was on the Take 2, and then now I'm on the XTR, and it does slow it down.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting. It's a lot of intricacies with
fish care is important for sure, but it's tough on a kayak. It is tough.
One more question that I wanted to ask before I let you go, since I've already.
Oh yeah, I'm good, man. Keep going.
What the difference in hook set? Are these a difference when you set the hook set on a redfish,
on a bass,
flounder, or a speckled trout?
Redfish, I'm gonna lean into him pretty good. The trout, I lean into him pretty good, but they I'm not gonna rip them like I'm setting a bass when I'm flipping some standing timber or something. I'm ripping them out of some hydrilla or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna let them have it pretty good. But with the trout, I'm gonna have my drag backed off just a little bit. Their mouths can be a little more delicate.
Yeah.
Redfish, I'm cinching my drag down and I'm ripping him in. They're gonna pull that drag though. They're gonna make some runs for sure.
Heck yeah. I bet. And what about
they're strong.
What about flounder? Because they have a really halibut. They have some really tough.
They have a tough mouth, but then they have some membrane that's not as tough. So yeah, a lot of times if I know I'm in an area and I know I'm on some flounder, you really got to let them. Like a lot of times on the paddle tail, I'll be like flicking, and you'll feel it, and you'll feel it. It'll feel like a wet sock on the end of your line, and it'll be coming. It'll like swim to you, and you'll be like, "Oh, that's a flounder." And then if you stop and you hold your line tight enough to feel it, you'll feel it eat it again. You'll feel another little bump. And you're like, "Oh, he's really got it." And then I'll set the hook on. Yeah,
no, it's kind of like halibut. That's the same thing when you're fishing halibut. It's like feel it, let it take it, and then when you feel the rod bend, that's where you set
you feel another bump. You feel another tick tick, like he even, because normally when it comes over and they're just going to reach up and grab it and lay back down, and it's just going to be hanging out their mouth a little bit. And then when you feel it, like he actually tries to eat it, like swallow it, and then you set the hook. Yeah.
It's flounder. It's good as halibut, because let me tell you, I tried halibut. It was amazing.
I like halibut a little better. It's a little firmer fish, so it hold up on the grill and everything. Flounder don't hold up on the grill, but it's great. Like you debone the whole thing, scale it, debone it, and stuff it with like a good like lump crab meat and shrimp stuffing, and lots of butter and lemon juice and white wine seasoning on it, and broil it in the oven. Yeah, it's kind of tough to beat.
Oh man, you're gonna be hungry now. Well, Dustin, I really appreciate you taking the time, man. I don't know I've had you for an hour. What's next for you as far as tournaments go? I know there's a lot of tournaments going on in saltwater fishing lately.
Yeah, I got the actually the Texas Bass Nation. The event was supposed to be on Lake Corpus Christi, but it's pretty dang low right now. So they moved it to Coleto Creek.
I heard that.
Which is like 20 minutes from my house. I guess I need to fish it because I'm probably gonna fish that one.
Nice.
Yeah. I've done pretty good on that lake. I just wish there was grass in there again. There used to be hydrilla in there, and it was a really good lake, and they killed all the hydrilla. Like
I don't know the science. I don't know the explanation why, but I hate it.
Recreation. But then it got expensive. It's $17 to get into that lake.
Oh, really? Wow.
To get into it. Yeah. Now they made it pretty pricey. But yeah, I got that one if I'm going to fish it. Then I got September the 20th. I have the Five Rivers Showdown in Alabama. It's the MBKFA event along with Hobie Saltwater Series, another qualifier. And then in October, there is the Lafayette Kayak Fishing Club, their event, October 11th, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one. And then the championship is in November in Panama City Beach. The TOC is then. I might have a few more in between. I think my event will run on, October, a weekend in October. I need to look.
Man,
that's my event. The Redfish, Greenfish Smackdown. That is the Redfish on the first day, CPR event, and then bass on the second day combined total. It's a multi-species event.
I love those events.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty killer. Yeah. So hopefully, then I got some BMX stuff coming up too. I've been riding that bike.
I know. I saw you've been riding your not your mountain bike, but your BMX.
Yeah, I got that in January.
You used to surf, you used to skateboard, you still skateboard, I think. I've seen a couple of videos not mountain bike, BMX. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I hadn't rode BMX in a very, very long time. And then I just decided to get another bike. I've been eyeballing some of the contests over the years, and I was like, you know what? I'm finally going to get one. Just too good of a deal what's going on for that Haro Master, and I grabbed it, and I've kind of upgraded it and added some different parts. And I entered my first contest last month. I got 5th in my division, and I'm going to North Carolina in week after next to go to my next one, and I'm going to try to win the damn thing.
There you go.
I got some stuff down. I rode 3 hours today. I rode some this morning, got some practice in. I've been practicing at least a couple times a week and been getting some stuff. Stuff's coming back slowly, but it's coming back.
Hey, it's just what I say about riding bikes. You never lose it.
Oh, and I've lost over 30 pounds since January.
Nice. That's good,
riding
man.
the bike and eating a little bit cleaner and getting back out there. It's helped. Kayak fishing's great, but when you got a motor, I do paddle a lot, but
I got a motor and I put up like 10 pounds. I moved from Puerto Rico, and I weighed 185 pounds when I moved to Texas, because in Puerto Rico you lived there. I used to do a lot of surfing, and then I got here and then I started doing mountain bikes and Snow Beach to surf. In Dallas.
Well, it's too. Yeah.
But now with the motor in my kayak, dude, I went from 180. I put like 20 pounds since I moved here. Granted, I've lived here now for 13 years, but yeah, man,
I'm gonna keep dropping.
You're getting at that age.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's mid 50s, buddy. Whew.
Yeah, I need to leave the motor in the garage every now and then and just do good old paddling or pedaling too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's all
getting lazy.
Just eat better, portion control, high protein, low carb, lots of fiber. That's what I've been doing. I eat a lot of eggs and yogurt and fruit, and it's been getting better. I did have a big plate of enchiladas tonight, so you got to splurge every now and then.
Yeah, you gotta. All right, Dustin, where can people follow you? And also, if you want to, I know you got a few sponsors that you work with. So if you want to let us know, where can people follow you, and what are some of the companies you want to thank?
Oh yeah. You can find me on social media, Dustin Nichols on Facebook, and Dustin Nichols VTX is on my deal right there.
There you go, right there.
And on Facebook, also, you can follow my podcast called Chasing the Tide. It's Chasing without the G. Chasing the Tide. I do a saltwater kayak specific podcast as well. Mainly, I've just been doing tournament recaps lately, but I'll start getting some guests back lined up. I'll get Joe Commiati on. I'll get Chris on again. I'll get some people from the East Coast. Start moving forward on that. And then some companies I'd like to thank. One of my biggest supporters so far is Waterloo Rods and Outfitters. They're a local company here out of Victoria. That's my rod sponsor. Torpedo. I've been with them for I don't even know how many years now. 7, maybe. It's been a while. TG Canoe and Kayaks and San Marcos for the support as well. A couple other brands. Catch, Duke from Catch, big supporter of mine, big partner as well. Local company here, Chop and Block Victoria, Slicks Oil Change, Evolve Fishing, Kayak Cushion. Couldn't go nowhere without that little cushion for my tushin. And man, I don't even know. Blue Storm gear for your PFD needs. Cam's a fellow teammate as well. There's a bunch of them, man. I'm like, I don't even know. I probably have to pull a list out. Yep. All of them. Southern Salt Bait Company. Bending Branches as well. Topwater Cove for the clips. Coastal Marsh Lures. Feral Concepts, big supporter as well, and Dubro Fishing, good stuff. Osprey Leader Material, I mentioned them as well. They're big supporter as well. I went kind of a different route this year and kind of got some support for the vehicle and in the season, and they stepped up along with Feral and Slicks, a local company as well. Waterloo, everybody, helped for the season, the support and everything. So I'm very appreciative of everybody that believes in me and helps me get out there and get this content and fish these tournaments for sure.
Well, congratulations on all your success, man, and good luck on the AOI for the Hobie Saltwater Series, man. I hope you get it, and if you do, we'll have you back on the podcast to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be they take your best 3 and then they add the score from the TOC to determine the angler of the year for that one. And yeah, as of right now, I'm sitting in the lead. So
are they still is Hobie still doing the Hobie World?
Yes. Yeah.
So does it have a qualify? You qualify for the Hobie World?
Mm-hmm.
If you qualify, you're gonna fish the Hobie World?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh man, I hope you get to do it, man.
Qualify.
I've heard that from people that have qualified and fished it. Like the one time they went to, I don't know if it's Denmark or Sweden,
somewhere over there. Yeah,
the guys were telling me like that. You don't get paid. It's mostly cost money. You're gonna lose money. You're not gonna get paid. It's just
I have a chance to go over there.
The experience, yeah.
If I do make it and go, then I'm reaching out to my supporters and I'm like, hey, help me get on this trip. We're going to here, and they'll be there for me. I do feel it. I feel they would. I got some great people behind me. So, yeah, sure.
Hey, and they're behind you because you're a great dude. So
I appreciate that.
Always fun having you on the podcast.
It's tough to put yourself out there sometimes, but social media is a funny thing to figure out at times. But I just share what I know and what I love doing, and if anybody can follow on that adventure, if I can help somebody, by some of my articles or the podcast or anything I share online, and that's a win for me. Yep.
And one thing that I appreciate about your content, Dustin, it's like you never chase trends. It's always authentic. It's always organic. It's
I appreciate
never
that.
about chasing
that's what
anything.
I do.
It's just about the adventure, the experience, and you don't try to sell anybody on anything that you wouldn't buy yourself.
Nope. And all the brands I'm affiliated with have started off with me not being sponsored by them, by me supporting their product and promoting and just organic promotion of that product and tagging. And, it's a big thing to do that because it's not forced. It's stuff I believe in and stuff that works for me. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Nah, for real. You're one of my favorite content creators when it comes to that. And I always appreciate what you do. So keep it up, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate that for sure. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here, share a little bit with everybody. So just like Armando, if y'all find me online, y'all can send me a question, message me on Instagram or whatnot. I answer all the DMs and everything.
Yeah. So for those that were here, I think Joshua B was one of them, or Oilfield Angler. I know a couple of people are saying that they're going. Oh, Charlie.
Yeah,
Sanders is going over there. If you want, just hit up, follow Dustin Nichols.
Hit me up. I'll put you on some spots.
There you go. Get more intel on how to target, whatever you're targeting on Inshore.
Yep.
Dustin, thank you so much. Again, for those that are watching, listening, please see if you can sign up for the charity event that will help out the people in Kerr County that have been affected. Again, we're now right up to like 110 people have perished, unfortunately, and we also have 160 still missing. So it's definitely a tragedy, and if you can help out, it's $40. All proceeds, including the fees from Attorney X, will go to help out the people that have been affected. So consider, again, there's going to be so many prizes that are going to be given out, including Douglas rods, who are going to donate some of their LRS rods for the tournament. But so many people are coming together to help out. So it's mostly about helping out, but you also get a chance to win some really, really cool stuff. And I think usually they'll do it. You don't have to worry about how many fish you catch. Usually it's be done like a raffle or something like that. So, all right. So everyone, once again, thank you. If you're going to be on the water, please wear your PFDs. Again, thank you to our great guest, Dustin. Dustin, I am going to go this year. I promise you, this is the year that I'm going to go visit you, and I'm going to visit Chris, and we're going to do both inshore and offshore.
We'll all go fish down there. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. All right. Well, say hi to everybody in Paddle and Fin. And again, if you're going to be on the water, guys, girls, please wear your BFDs and take care. Peace out.
Peace out.